Anime Addicts, this podcast is brought to you by our lovely Anime Addicts community, keeping this podcast ad-free. If you want to help support the show, get all of our exclusive content, free access to the Discord, show notes, and of course that warm feeling you get inside when you do a good thing, you can go to our Patreon page, or you can go to our website, AAAPodcast.com/join. That'll get you to where you can support the show. You get all of our exclusive goodies. And again, you'll be helping out your favorite podcast. And now, it's time to start the show.
Get ready! You're about to listen to the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast. Make your anime addiction worse at AAAPodcast.com. And now, here are your anime addicts.
Hello and welcome. It's a brand spanking new episode of the AAA Podcast. I believe it's number 832. Is that right, Friggy?
Yes, even though up until 10 minutes ago, it was marked as 831 because I forgot to change the document number.
Oh, my goodness.
I know!
But
that's what you do when you ask me to do things.
It's only natural that we have such critical mistakes happening when it's just the two of us today. And we didn't even get the day right, Andrew. We came in on the wrong day. Today is a Saturday, which we don't typically record on, but
I was scared for a moment. I'm like, oh, I thought I lost a whole day there for a second, but it turns out we're just doing it on a day early. Okay.
Yeah. Because
okay.
I have to go to a baptism tomorrow, so I'm not going to be available, and I didn't want to leave you on your lonesome, so I graciously changed the schedule.
Appreciated, and probably for the best, because we've seen what I can do when I just yap eternally.
Yeah, well, thank you for joining me today, and thank you, everybody, for joining us today on the AA Podcast. We are going to have a how do you say it? Tonkotsu?
No, it's Tokusatsu.
Tokusatsu. Okay, I knew what it was. I just couldn't remember the top of my head.
Tonkatsu is...
Is that a pork bowl? Okay, sorry about that. Tokusatsu special today because we'll be talking about the history of pork bowls. Of Tokusatsu.
Exactly. Oh, definitely that.
Oh, man, that would be a good episode. We should do a history of Japanese food episode. I wonder how that would go. And then that's all to combine with our review for today. Tojima wants to be Kamen writer, so we are definitely...
And not just our review, also our after party where some fun things might be happening.
Oh, that's true. Yeah, we do have a lot of things happening today that I am not very familiar about, so my education is coming. Other than that, what else do we have to share with the people today? Oh, yeah. Just basic stuff. You know, we are here on Saturday at 10 a.m. EDT, but typically it is Sunday, 10 a.m. EDT on Twitch. If you'd like to join us live for that, you can also watch all our episodes on YouTube, and you can follow us on Twitter, TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and join our Discord where all the fun things happen. Anime Club every other Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. And the next meeting will be on June 10th, where we'll be discussing Keep Your Hands Off Eizouken. So that will be a really good discussion. Anything else you would like to share, Friggy?
I forgot to open this episode with a Shin. Sorry, that's what I was supposed to do when we did the whole thing, but I got sidetracked.
Finish the
translation.
Oh,
no. Oh, yeah, sorry. Kamen Rider!
Very nice. All right. And with that, do you think we're ready for big news of the week?
Well, sure. Though I wouldn't call it big.
It's time for big news of the week.
Yeah, that's a really good description for this week because I had to put together the news break and I was struggling. And so I couldn't find anything in particular that I wanted to talk about. But even just like, hey, this is happening in the news this week, I couldn't find much that people would actually care about.
Oh, honestly, I looked this morning because I usually the day of the podcast is when I look for the news because it's the most amount of news you can have available to you before you record. And I looked at all of the news for the week and it was sparse, even by my anime list standards. There were so little things. I mean, and even what I'm talking about isn't technically anime news, it's video game news, but it follows one of my favorite franchises, Gundam.
What?
And so they're
I've
releasing...
never heard of Gundam before.
Oh yeah, I know, it's crazy. It's just like this little robot thing from Japan, from 1969, 79. Lol. Whoops. There goes my Gundam card. So yeah, so this week, Game Fan Fest, Summer Game Fest apparently is happening, and a bunch of companies were revealing a lot of things that's coming out, right? So a lot of video games. So we got the Final Fantasy VII remake trilogy, final installment, Revelation, the last in the 3-part game that got announced, or they showed footage from. That looks like it's going to be really good. I still have to play the second one, Rebirth. But we also got this Gundam game announcement called Mobile Suit Gundam Rogue Orbit. And it is essentially a Gundam, fighting game. It feels like they might be aiming for like a Souls-like kind of vibe is what I got the impression of, because you're the pilot who is piloting the Gundam against an unknown enemy. And the enemies, when I looked at the trailer, they were very like animalistic, like dragons, like, so it's like they're going for like not a monster hunter like Souls like kind of thing, because it's just like very animalistic type mobile suits that were, like a scorpion, like a dragon, and that kind of thing. And so it looked interesting. I probably am not going to play it because I don't have a PS5, but yeah, it did look really nice.
I can see the issue there.
Yeah, that's and it's not getting any cheaper to own one, so I missed that window.
Yeah, so that's the only news we're talking about this week, is about a video game that you're sort of kind of interested in that you can't even play.
Yes. Yeah, that's how and yeah, I mean, there's all the other stuff that's announced, like they announced the cast for this show or that show or whatnot, but like, where's the fun in that? Unless you're talking about TM Revolution lining up a TV show or an anime. They're like, yeah, it was pretty rough. I was gonna jokingly say before in our pre-chant, this might be the shortest episode we do for the podcast because
there's only two of us. We have absolutely no news to talk about.
Yeah,
we're gonna talk about the the wonderful world of Tokusatsu. So I don't even know how long that's gonna take. Probably not. Extremely long.
It could take forever, and it could take very little. And then I think we have very similar views on the show we're reviewing.
Oh, really?
Surprisingly, maybe.
Well, that's a spoiler.
But is it though? Who knows? Maybe we disagree more than we think. I might just be saying this to amp up what's happening and to vamp a little, because, like I said, it is a crazy quiet week and it's the summer. And, school is ending for a lot of people, so it makes sense.
I know.
But I guess we can just move on to the main topic, because literally there is not much to talk about news-wise.
I agree. All right, so as you titled it, a mild dive into the wonderful world of Tokusatsu. Take it away, Frigimon.
Yes. Okay, so... We're talking about Tojima wants to be a Kamen writer today for the podcast review, right? And it brings up this thing called Kamen Rider, right? And Caroline, you've never heard of Kamen Rider, I imagine, before this show.
Like, I've heard the name Kamen Rider, but don't tell me who Kamen Rider was. What did he do? I do have like a somewhat funny association with Kamen Rider, because when I read the One Punch Man manga, I knew there was a character named Moomin Rider, and I was like, wait a minute, Kamen Rider, you mean Moomin Rider? And Moomin Rider is the best. I know that he's a reference to Kamen Rider, but he's the number one writer in my heart. I don't even know who these other guys are.
Fair enough. If you ever watch the shows, which you definitely do not have the time for, these are, you think this 2-core is crazy? These shows tend to be 40 to 50 episodes more often than not.
And
they run year long.
How similar are they to Power Rangers?
So funny you mentioned Power Rangers. So a lot of people, when they think of Tokusatsu, and we'll go into like the broad definition. Tokusatsu honestly is just special effects filming. Effectively, it's a contraction of 2 words. Oh my god, I just forgot what the 2 words were. I just had them up there. What is it? Where is it? I just saw this. Give me 2 seconds. I'm gonna get it. Tokusho and Satsue. There we go.
Oh, I was gonna do the Jeopardy thing. So can you repeat that for me? Because I wasn't paying attention.
It's all Tokusho, Tokushu. I don't know how to put, and Satsue. So Tokusatsu, right? Which can basically be translated to special effects filming. And you know how Japan likes to do contractions of words, right? It's like a thing they do in the language a lot. So we get Tokusatsu. And a lot of what Tokusatsu refers to is Godzilla, or like, especially in the West, right? Is like Godzilla, right? Is Tokusatsu.
Okay.
Special effects filming. The guy in the suits. And also Kamen Rider, Power Rangers / Super Sentai / Power Rangers, that kind of thing, like the superhero
so all
shows.
This is Tokusatsu?
Yeah, because all it is special effects filming, right? Like, think of it this way. You know how like anime is like the broad term for all the animation? So like, when a Western cartoon comes to Japan, it's anime, like King of the Hill, like, you know the joke, King of the Hill is anime. It's sort of like that kind of, it's like a broad umbrella, right? But what happened is when it got brought over to the West, it kind of got contracted into a more like, it kind of became a genre instead of a medium, essentially.
Interesting.
And for a while,
Interesting.
Yeah. So what you find in a lot of these shows is like, so a lot of special effects. So like early on, if you remember like the Godzilla, it's basically a big man in a suit walking around on like all of these small sets,
Wait a minute,
destroying things.
You're saying that Godzilla doesn't exist?
He didn't exist until he was filmed for the TV show. So we found his existence through Tokusatsu, actually. So it's like the Loch Ness monster, right? It's like, she didn't exist until we found her. So that's crazy. But so Godzilla, Gamera, all of those shows, especially from like early film, that's where Toki came from. And then what we find, actually funny enough, is they wanted to bring like that film experience to TV. And so I don't know if you've heard of the name Tsuburaya before.
No,
they've done a lot of different things. So like they did like the Godzilla show stuff early on, Tsuburaya Productions. They actually have done like they've done a bunch of anime. So I think Gatchaman. Have you ever heard of Gatchaman? The bird people with the suits.
Not really.
The suit people who get into. Okay, so all right, never mind. But essentially, Tsuburaya Productions is like basically a big name in early Tokusatsu. Like, you know, they basically are behind Ultraman. Have you ever heard of Ultraman?
Yes, but I don't know who he is or what he does.
Okay, so let's see. Did you ever watch SSS Gridman?
No, I love this. Is this conversation gonna be like, have you seen? No.
I'm trying.
Have you seen kind of, but I have no idea what it is.
It's all good. I'm just actually trying to find a reference point to essentially see where I can go, oh, did you know this? Then, oh, yeah. So it's sort of like this. But essentially, Ultraman, I'm not as familiar with, essentially is an alien that came to our planet, fuses with a human. That human turns into Ultraman and grows big. And then they fight essentially monsters like Godzilla type, like, you know, giant monsters, essentially. That's Ultraman. That was pretty popular. It pioneered a lot of special effects, you know, like in suit design and miniature design and all of that kind of fun things like that. And so that's where we get Ultraman. So that was like pretty popular for a bit. And then we get introduced to, I'm gonna tell you a little story here. So we're gonna get into Kamen Rider a little bit, right? So this man, Shotaro Ishinomori, he's like he did like a lot of like he's a mon back in like the 50s and 60s. Everyone kind of wore like 50 different hats, what it was. And he basically he created this series called Cyborg 009, which you may or may not have seen. I haven't actually seen any of it. And that's sort of like your first inkling into what like cyborgs are in like Japanese media to some extent, kind of like based off of like, I was gonna say the Astrobot, but what is Astro Boy and whatnot. And so we get into the Kamen Rider, right? So Kamen Rider, you've heard of Kamen Rider, right?
Oh, it's my first time hearing about him, actually. No, I got it. Yeah.
Yeah. So this was created by Shotaro Ishinomori, and I'm gonna just do a quick story, and this leads into a couple years, and this was done in I think 1971. And then a few years later, he would create another show called Himitsu Sentai Go Ranger. This would be the genesis to whatever would eventually become Power Rangers.
Okay. So he is like the godfather of all this stuff.
Yes, essentially. You want to hear what an interesting connection is between these two shows? Okay.
What?
Japanese Spider-Man. I know you've heard of Japanese Spider-Man.
Kind of.
Okay. So Marvel and superhero stuff were getting big, right?
Yeah.
At this time, all over. And they were trying to enter into the Japanese market, essentially. Okay. And so they took Spider-Man and they brought him to Japan, and he is nothing like what you would think of Spider-Man. He goes around, he fights evil, he has a transformation device. So Japanese Spider-Man is Tokusatsu, right?
Okay.
And then he has a henshin device, he turns into Spider-Man, and then he summons a giant robot. Japanese Spider-Man summons a giant robot, which shows up in the movie Ready Player One. I forget the name of the robot. It's been so long since I've actually it's like, and his robot is like a lion. Oh my god, no, it's a leopardon, essentially. Or apparently it's called Marveler/Leopardon. And he basically hops into a giant robot, which is a guy in a suit fighting against monsters. This led to the creation of Super Sentai and them getting giant robots, effectively.
Wow. How? This is a Spider-Man web that is being spun here.
Exactly. It is crazy. All right. And this is all happening in like the 70s, essentially. The 70s were a wild time. Okay. And then there's Ishinomori is also, there's like a lot of things that they made in Japan in terms of Inazuman, Kikaider. These all have similar themes. Not similar themes, but like similar ideas of like there's like a hero, usually like a lone hero, fighting against forces of evil who are trying to either take over the world or do nefarious things more often than not. Super Sentai has a group, and we're talking right now, we're mostly in the Showa era, essentially. And the Showa era is what Tojima as a show also focused on for the most part. It's like very nostalgic for that era.
Mm-hmm.
And so here's something that you might not think is Tokusatsu, okay, but is influenced by Tokusatsu. Have you ever heard of a show called Sailor Moon?
Oh, I see where you're going here.
Yes. So magical girls as a concept obviously exists, right? And they essentially are heroes who transform, right? And what we also call we call them henshin heroes over here in the West. So the heroes that transform, so like the Kamen Riders, the whatnot. So Sailor Moon, did you know that Sailor Moon had a live action?
Yes, I believe so. Or I know like the live shows, like on stage, but so that's
it had a TV show. Yeah.
Okay, I did not know they had an actual TV show live action.
Yes, it is. Some of the wildest CG from the early 2000s.
Oh
It is a
boy.
wild.
You actually watched
Yeah,
it?
I've seen the first episode and I've watched the transformation sequences. So it's you're gonna, let's just say, spoiler for the after party. This is gonna be one of the things you're gonna be reacting
Ooh,
to is the Sailor
cool.
Moon henshin. I thought you might find it fun.
Yeah, that
And
would be fun.
I'm just gonna warn you, you're gonna hate the wigs.
Oh no.
I can't wait to see how you react to the wigs.
But the hair is such a
Essentially.
big part of Sailor Moon.
I know you're gonna be like, oh my god.
I mean, it would be tough to find a realistic wig for these characters, but
I mean, you say that, but I mean, wig technology has advanced very much in the last while, we'll just say.
okay.
Um, but yeah, so Sailor Moon in like I think the early 2000s is also what we would call like this. This is more in the Heisei era, right? But she would essentially be called viewed as a henshin hero, also magical girl, and she transforms and whatnot. But essentially, also in the 90s, in the 80s and the 90s, um, because this henshin hero genre part of Tokusatsu was doing well, they were like, how can we get girls into it? So they also made attempts to make live action henshin hero for girls. The only one that really ever stands out and they ever really brought back is Majo Shoujo Poitrine, I think is the name of that character. I was looking it up. Also, something we're going to look at maybe later in your reacts. I got a lot of fun stuff for you. We're just
My
as a
goodness,
primer
this is
for
like the most amount
Caroline.
of effort that's ever been put into an after party.
Oh, trust me, I love watching these videos. These overall, I just have memories. I'm very nostalgic for it because I watch Power Rangers, right?
I mean, I used to watch Power
So
Rangers too. Like when
yeah.
I usually did sleep in as a kid, but on the rare occasion that I did not sleep in on it as a kid, and I'm like in our living room, and what's on TV? This random stuff. Okay. And they're very like all I could think of to myself was like, wow, these guys are really dramatic. And why are they whenever they beat like they're fighting in their costumes
Yeah.
and everything like that, and they get hit once and they're suddenly on the ground spazzing. They're like having a seizure on the ground.
Yeah, that a lot of that comes from the the actual Japanese version of the show, right? There's a lot of many things they take from it, and you'll find actually a lot of that. While this is all geared towards younger audiences, so Super Sentai is geared more towards children, and Kamen Rider's geared more towards tweens, right? Like, younger teens and all that kind of like that kind of age range. It can get pretty dark and pretty crazy. So, like character deaths, right? And we sort of see it in Tojima, right? They talk about how some of these characters go out and die fighting the forces of evil, essentially. So you'll find this a lot of times in Toku, and like the henshin hero genre is a character who basically fighting for justice, right? Sometimes, and in the case of Kamen Rider, it is someone usually using the powers of evil to fight against evil.
We mean the powers of evil. Can you give me an
so
example?
like in Kamen Rider, right? The original Kamen Rider is essentially a college student with a 300 IQ. They make mention of this I've watched the first episode. They make mention of like he has a 300 IQ. He's basically the smartest man in the world. And they basically kidnap him, make him into a cyborg so that they could use him for evil. He breaks the brainwashing and then essentially fights against Shocker to fight for justice, to prevent their world domination. And so this like the tools of evil being used for good is something that propagates through the series up until basically this day, right? So you'll find in a lot of like the Heisei shows, it's okay, the main character fell into a tomb with like demon energy, and it gave him the ability to turn into like a demon fighter, essentially. Or essentially a guy. Okay, this is from a Kamen Rider Wizard, essentially.
Wizard, huh?
Yeah. So this is like a more recent Heisei show from like the mid 2010s kind of thing, like the 2010s. It is a character who essentially was corrupted by an evil wizard who uses his magic to bring people hope, effectively. So this is like a running theme in a lot of it. A lot of the shows as well, or even Kamen Rider W, which had the sequel in anime form, Kamen Rider W Futo P. The thing they use to transform is essentially a doping, like it's like a doping device, like it's like drugs effectively in the show. They're using they're using drugs for good.
Oh, wonderful.
It sounds weird when I say it that way.
Put that on a t-shirt.
They're using drugs for good. So yeah, you'll find a lot of that, like the tools of evil being used by people for justice or to bring hope or to do good in the world. Like that seems to be the giant, like, overarching mantra of Kamen Rider.
And they kind of
and you kind of see it.
They kind of do that in the anime too, because you got the combatants now becoming the good guys. And so,
essentially.
I make connections.
Hell yeah, look at you. Look at you. You got this. So you find that a lot in Kamen Rider. In Super Sentai, you find a lot of they're just usually heroes of justice fighting against evil forces. Though as time goes on, you find like there's a lot of times those evil forces are like anti-heroes essentially, or villains that turn good. There's a lot of heel face turns in like the later eras of Super Sentai, and I may not be the most happy with, but a lot of the earlier incarnations of Super Sentai are like basically good versus evil, team of X good people versus evil, and they're usually a team. Another thing about Kamen Rider, I forgot to say, thematic wise, is they tend to be bug themed in sort of like aesthetics more often not.
Yeah,
yes.
I was
especially in the early eras.
I was curious about that because I did look up, Kamen Rider, and I didn't really see like what Kamen means, but I expected it to be something related to bug, like Bug Man. Or
no.
Like,
Kamen is mask.
Because that was a little bit random to me.
Oh yeah. So literally, so essentially, masked rider essentially refers to the fact that they have a mask on and that they ride motorcycles. So like motorcycles were a pretty big part of the Kamen Rider aesthetic as well. Go early on. One of the it's not so much anymore, but that's because Japan changed more like a bunch of rules around road safety and motorcycles, even on close lots or sets. So they just choose not to use, they'll make a motorcycle, like every main rider has a motorcycle associated with them,
but they don't use it,
but they won't actually use them as much in the show, where it used to be a much more integral part to the show,
right? Because I was about to say, like, I was a little bit disappointed that there is no, like, well, I knew the joke was like he has a bicycle, but I was like, oh, I figured like they're riders, they should have something to ride on, and they're not. But I suppose the fact that it's not even a motorcycle, it's a bike. And they do the same thing in One Punch Man with Moomin Rider, that he rides a bike. So that might be like an inside joke, pretty much.
Oh yeah, and you'll find a lot of references to Tokusatsu because it is like a kid show. A lot of things kids I've seen growing up. So you'll see a lot of references in anime essentially, and other things. So I talked about some of like the two big franchises at the time. There was like basically the big three franchises of Toku up until last year, because they just canceled one of them. Was Kamen Rider, Super Sentai, and then your mileage may vary on either Ultraman or Metal Heroes, essentially. Ultraman is probably more so now than before, and all of them have sort of gone through their different phases. So like Kamen Rider essentially died or was canceled for the most part in like the 90s. So like there's a period where you'll get a movie here, a movie there, but it was essentially dead for about a decade, essentially. It kind of like a Doctor Who. I don't know if you've seen any Doctor Who.
I
Like
have,
it kind of
yeah.
like there's the old Who and new Who.
Hmm.
What we essentially got was Showa era writers, and then they came back in the Heisei era, and the eras are basically based on the king who's in charge at the time. And so they came back with Kamen Rider Kuga, and that sort of like started a new boon of Kamen Rider. So like they took a break because people were kind of getting bored of it. They came back, and then essentially they started putting hot people in the roles.
Smart.
That's a current like theory. They put hot people in the roles to get the mothers to watch along, and because women tend to be the biggest purchasers of goods in general.
No.
So they basically, let's put in hot idol like boys. So you'll see that Kamen Riders have essentially gotten hotter with time, versus when you look at the original ones. I guess they were hot for the time. It was like the 70s and 80s. Who knows? But clearly they went for a different aesthetic as they went along. Super Sentai ran from its inception for 50 years, and then they canceled it now for this new Project Red. And I've talked about it on the podcast before. Essentially, they canceled it because Marvel basically made and killed Super Sentai because of the MCU.
Yeah.
They're like, well, Super Sentai isn't selling as much, so we're going to try and make our own MCU style universe. And so we're killing Super Sentai for that. But Kamen Rider is actually on the rise. Hold on, I have a little side note. I was annoyed when after they canceled Super Sentai, because I predominantly watch Super Sentai. After they canceled Super Sentai, they announced 4 new divisions for Kamen Rider, appealing to, because of Kamen Rider's raise in toy sales numbers, right? They introduced 4 new divisions for Kamen Rider: an animation studio, one for the older fans, one for the newer fans, and something else. And that kind of pissed me off because I'm like, wow, you just didn't want to keep Super Sentai alive for me?
Mm-hmm.
What the hell?
Now, how much of this
Okay,
stuff have you actually watched? Like,
I've watched bits and
all this
pieces, a
Kamen
lot
Rider
of it.
stuff?
I've watched the first episode of the original Kamen Rider, just because I thought it was interesting. I've seen then there's this Kamen Rider Black, which I've seen the first episode of as well. But a lot of the Showa stuff I haven't watched because it's not that I'm not into it, but it's like Kamen Rider is fine, but it's the Showa era. I never really felt attached to it. I got in the Heisei era, and my first Kamen Rider was Kamen Rider Kabuto, essentially, and yeah. So I've seen a lot of Kamen Rider in the Heisei era. I've seen most of the Heisei era, or at least half of the Heisei era. I've seen a bit of I've watched most of the Reiwa era. Actually, no, I've watched half of the Reiwa era because it's been a while. And then Super Sentai, I've seen Power Rangers. I've seen basically most of the Power Rangers shows from its inception. Super Sentai, I've watched, oh my god. So from Maho Sentai Magi Ranger, which was a magic themed one, up until the end, I basically watched every season except for maybe 2 fully. Okay. I've seen bits and pieces of Metal Heroes, which is another franchise. I'm currently watching through Beef Fighter Kabuto, which is a Metal Hero show, which is one of the series that was brought over here as Big Bad Beetleborgs, which is way before your time because it didn't survive past like the 90s. And oh my god, what is the other stuff? And Ultraman, I tried, but I just couldn't get into Ultraman, unfortunately. Like of the big shows, but I've seen like a good chunk. I've seen bits and pieces of here. I've seen like the Henshin transformations. I've seen a few of the movies. If you're interested in seeing like even like a grittier, darker version, and an adult version of Kamen Rider, there's Shin Kamen Rider that was, I think, produced or directed by Hideaki Anno of Evangelion fame. and that takes it in like a much darker place as well. So I think people, if you're looking for something more dark or crazy in that regard, that's a cool one to look at. So Kamen Rider, that's the thing. They go for a bug aesthetic. More often than not, they will do some other things. But it's mostly they try to keep in that aesthetic. It's a lot more bug themed in the early Showa era, but then as the Heisei continues, they try to play into a lot more different things. Super Sentai just has a theme every year. So there's a lot, and it usually categorizes into vehicle themed, animal themed, then that can be like dinosaurs, mythical animals, that kind of thing. And then like powers themed, right? So in Super Sentai, we'll have aliens who come over to fight, who use like or like more scientific. We have several car themed based ones. We have a lot of dinosaur themed. Because kids love dinosaurs, right? You like dinosaurs, don't you?
I like dinosaurs.
And then we have like a bunch of random ones. So like I said, there was a magic themed one where they were a family of magic magicians, not magicians, like magic, like they're not wizards, but they're like, they use magic. They have magical powers. They're a family with magical powers, essentially. Because their dad was essentially a god.
Interesting. Here's a question.
Yes.
Is Transformers tokusatsu?
No.
Aw.
It is not. It is mostly because it's predominantly anime. It would technically be tokusatsu if when they bring the Michael Bay movies over, right? But in the sense that God, like how Marvel would technically be tokusatsu when they bring it over here, right? It kind of is, but it isn't, because it's just like transforming robots. It's closer to mecha than it is to
Got it.
to toku. But yeah, so and we have a lot of Western toku, right? Like you said. So Power Rangers, which is usually the footage from Super Sentai, which blew up here. They did try to bring Kamen Rider over, with Masked Rider. That had a season. It didn't succeed. Big Bad Beetleborgs, which tried to use footage from the Metal Hero series. We have Superhuman Samurai Cyber Squad, which uses the Gridman footage from the original live-action Gridman. We have oh my god, VR Troopers, which use a bunch of other Metal Hero series. So we've tried to do the whole Metal Hero, like the whole tokusatsu thing here. The one that only really seems to have survived was Power Rangers, and even that is essentially dead here in the water for the most part. Yeah. Okay. All right. Did you have any questions? Because I said a lot of things.
I think I now have a far more well-rounded understanding of tonkatsu.
Yes.
Of tokusatsu.
Good. And what about tokusatsu?
Yes. Yes, that of tokusatsu. So I thank you for this education, and I feel a little bit more prepared for our review today, and maybe I'll have more questions when we talk more about this.
And like I said, if you you should join the after party, folks. Well, not join it, but listen to the after party where I'm going to show Caroline a bunch of random toku henshins and get her opinion on them and what crazy thoughts she might have after seeing some of these.
All right, I'm looking forward to it. With that, shall we move on to our news break and our trivia question?
Yes. Would you like to read the trivia question?
Yes, I would love to. So, the question today is, what is the evil organization that Tojima fights against in the show? Tojima Tanzaburo wants to be a Kamen Rider. We'll give you the answer after the news break. Hey guys, it's Caroline, and this is your anime news break. The original Apocalypse Hotel TV anime has won the 57th Seiin Award in the media category. Additionally, the manga adaptation, Apocalypse Hotel Pusu Pusu, has won the comic category as well. The Seiin Award was established in 1970 and is the oldest award in Japanese science fiction and related genres. It is decided by a fan vote among registered attendees of the Japan Science Fiction Convention. If you're not familiar, Apocalypse Hotel is an original anime that came out in the spring 2025 season. It begins in the year 2157 in Ginza. The Earth has been abandoned as unlivable by humanity, but a single hotel remains eternally open for business by its robot employees. The hotel remains in tip-top shape, run by the optimistic and hardworking robot Yachiro, who truly believes humanity will return one day. It is a fairly prestigious award, and the anime has received the AAAPodcast seal of approval, so go ahead and check it out if you haven't already. In other news, we have some good news for the Crunchyroll manga readers. There are more titles for you. Starting on June 8th, subscribers to Crunchyroll Manga can read a ton of very popular titles, including A Silent Voice, Ace of Diamond, Ajin, Cells at Work, Eden Zero, Fairy Tail, Inuyashiki, Knights of Sidonia, Land of the Lustrous, Princess Jellyfish, The Drops of God, and more. So you can look forward to more manga on your digital bookshelf. And speaking of more manga, Hunter x Hunter is returning. Shueisha will publish the 39th volume of the Hunter x Hunter manga on July 3rd. That is the first volume in 22 months. The manga creator Yoshihiro Togashi has been teasing updates for new chapters on X, formerly known as Twitter. The manga went on hiatus back in January 2023 due to Togashi's health issues. So I'm sure the Hunter x Hunter fans are glad to know that Togashi's health has seemingly improved and he's back at it with more of their beloved manga. Now that's all I have for you here on the news break this week. Let's head back to the podcast.
In a world full of misinformation, AI deepfakes, and make-believe BS.
We thought you'd appreciate an update straight from the source.
Sure, times are tough, but there's hope.
Shonen Showdown is still standing, and our mission remains the same.
To rot your brain with the power of friendship.
The anime landscape is changing by the day, but we'll keep adapting.
And we appreciate your loyalty.
So keep listening, and keep the faith.
Good things come to those who wait.
Only Shonen Showdown.
On the Anime Addicts Anonymous Podcast.
Organization that Tojima fights against. In the show, Tojima Tanzaburo wants to be a Kamen Rider. The answer is shocker.
that E took a frequency that I could not even hear through the microphone. So that was how squeaky it was.
Well, my recording picked it up though, so be careful, Mitz, when you're editing this.
Yeah. Yes, it was indeed shocker. So, I believe we also have a mailbag here. Let me play the drop if I can find it.
It's time for an almighty anime mailbag. Anime. Anime. Anime.
Mailbag.
I just realized I look like a ghost. I am just...
Yeah, your light is just crazy.
The sun coming down from, I have a skylight, by the way. It's like right on top of me, so I'm just glowing. Anyway, so yeah, we got a mailbag here. I believe it's from Raggedy Doctor. Who knows when this was coming from? You picked out
2022.
2022. Wowza. All right.
Yep.
And Raggedy says, back in the past, hey, AAA, having long mouths or Annie lists are definitely a huge point of pride in the anime watching community. But I think it's fair to say that we have at least one show missing from our respective lists. For whatever reason, be it the length of the show, how dated the animation looks, or any other number of reasons, it seems everyone has at least one show that other people cannot believe you haven't seen, despite how good the show is, and even if you know you would like it, you just never seem to get around to watching it. For me, it's Berserk, so I want to know, what is that show for you? As always, much love, my dudes. Andrew, would you like to give an answer?
Yeah, so I went to my Mal, and I went to, plan to watch. There's a lot of stuff in there that I don't even remember marking. A lot of it is useless, a lot of it's bad. And at the end of the day, I put Your Lie in April because it just feels like a show I should have watched by now. For ages.
Yeah, it's just one of those shows it's just the popularity of it and how much people talk about it even still. It is surprising. Though, in my opinion, I think it's a bit overrated. That's just me.
It makes sense. It really depends on how people are, but like, it's just one of those shows that, there are probably other shows I can't even think of that I haven't marked or anything, but I was like, a lot of the things like, okay, well, Frieren, I'm going to watch Frieren. I'm just, I've seen like the first 2 episodes. I've got to watch it at some point, right? It's just the #1 anime on Mal, right? Mm-hmm. But it's not something what's preventing me. It's just timing, essentially. Maybe in September I'll watch it. Who knows?
You should have watched it in April.
Frieren?
No, I thought you were talking about Your Lie in April. Sorry.
Oh, well, you see, that's the real lie. It's because I should have watched it in May. That would be the truth.
Well, I did not have to take more than 2 seconds to think of the answer to this one because it's an ongoing joke that I have never seen Cowboy Bebop. In fact, I've only ever seen the notoriously bad live action on Netflix because we talked about it on the podcast. God. And people do get kind of pissed off that I've not seen Cowboy Bebop and I have not made any motion to. So right now, pretty honestly, it is for the bit that I haven't seen it, but also because I'm just watching a lot of stuff. It's hard to fit in something that you're not feeling compelled to watch by your own want,
I feel you.
But I probably will watch it and I probably will like it. It's just I haven't yet, and I do enjoy pissing people off over something so silly. But yeah, other than that, I haven't watched Hunter x Hunter. But I mean, that does feel a little bit random because there are a lot of shonen out there. Like, who's going to see every single shonen show out there? Except for the shonen heads, of course. But so I'm probably not alone in the fact that I haven't seen Hunter x Hunter, but it's definitely something that if I had all the time in the world, it would be on the list to watch.
Well, obviously.
And also, I haven't seen the original FMA. I have seen Brotherhood, but I've never seen the original FMA, and I know it has its own. It has its own appeal to it. That's what I've heard.
Yeah, so you're not going to get as much slack from that, unfortunately, from a lot of people because people are like, Brotherhood is the superior version, whatever. It is an interesting watch, but also it is a big watch because it is a 50-episode show.
Yeah, even Brotherhood I kind of struggled watching. Like, I wasn't as into it as everybody else was. So, and I did finish it and I did like it, but I can't say that it was as easy of a watch as I expected it to be.
I think you would enjoy the original FMA more. I think they do a little bit more interesting things with the characters, but it is you have to get through like half the show. You don't have to. It's still an interesting watch. It's just, yeah, it gets weird if you've already seen FMA. Like, the whole thing is all weird. Brotherhood should have just redone it the first half, and then it would have been. Anyway, we can move on to the main to the review.
All right, let's.
I have thoughts on FMA.
All right, today
All
we
right.
are reviewing Tanjiro Tanzaburo Wants to Be a Kamen Rider. You can watch it on Crunchyroll, and the synopsis, please take it away, Andrew.
Okay, so the boring synopsis, thank you, which was
Okay, I'm
provided
sorry
by
if I just copy and pasted it. Somebody didn't do anything.
I was gonna say brought to you by Crunchyroll. Okay. I'm not saying am I blaming you, Caroline?
Well, I'm the one
blaming-
who put it on there, so it felt like it.
That's not your fault that it's boring. Okay. It's not your fault. It's just what they do. So Tojima Tojima Tanzaburo has spent his entire life chasing a dream to become a Kamen Rider. Now at 40, reality has nearly caught up with him, and he's on the verge of letting go of his childhood fantasy. That is, until he gets caught up in a crime wave led by the fake Shocker gang, turning his longtime dream into something far more dangerous. And then I put my summary. A bunch of Kamen Rider otaku fight evil by moonlight.
I mean, you could say Kamen Rider otaku. You can also say people who are just
Mentally
held
not
by
there.
a lot of mental illness. A lot of mental
Yeah.
illness in the show, it seems like.
Yeah, I figured just let's give it a fun one sentence tagline.
Yeah.
That pretty much what the show is, because I think they only ever fight them at night anyway. So
Do they? Have they never fought in the daytime?
well, they fight each other in the daytime.
Oh, I've never noticed.
They
that.
train during the day, but I think they only ever fight Shocker at night, which makes sense because they're trying to hide. All right. This is brought to us by Leiden Films. It's based off of a manga, which I think is, and I'm not surprised, also officially related to the original Kamen Rider.
Mhm.
People signed off on it, so this is like official, like not canon, but material.
Otherwise, they probably might
yeah.
have an issue with all the copywritten things that they have going on here. Like they bring in, like the names of the characters and the moves and the title Kamen Rider.
that's
and all
like-
that stuff.
basically rotoscoped parts of the
Yeah.
original episodes. Yeah. So no, they definitely no, but I think the manga itself before the anime, like the manga itself was also officially licensed so that they were able to do all of this kind of stuff. What was your expectations prior to going into this show?
Well, I mean, it was sitting on our review list for a while. This is back in the fall, but it is also like a 2-core show, so it did take a little while longer for it to finish up. But it did take us a while to review because it's 2 cores, and that means we have to like plan ahead for when we are going to review it because it does take a while. And unfortunately, we are not known for planning ahead, so we kind of pushed it off a bit. But I was kind of curious about it because I didn't know anything about Kamen Rider, except for Moomin Rider, of course.
Love them.
So, but I was interested to get into it because like the score on Mal didn't seem too bad, and you know, just it felt like something to cross off the list. But that's pretty much all of my expectation going into it.
Yeah, so as we've learned in the previous main topic, I'm a little versed in Tokusatsu and Henshin Heroes a little bit. And so I saw Kamen Rider and I'm like, okay, this seems like it's going to be a fun thing. Anything with like Toku related always looks like it's going to be something I'm at least interested in checking out. I did the impression and we passed this. The podcast passed this. It was me and I think Mitz may have been the ones who passed it along whoever else was there. And I will say, like, those first couple of episodes are actually pretty interesting, and they give you you can see that there's potential with where they go, which, spoiler alert, I don't think they properly use. But prior to going into the show, I'm like, it's going to be Kamen Rider. I'm going to watch this regardless because this seems like it's up my alley. This should be interesting. The first impressions from the anime gave me a good first impression, so I'm curious to see where it goes going forward. And I remember watching something like Samurai Flamenco and really enjoying where that potential went. So I'm like, this is giving me similar vibes. Let's go with it.
Mm-hmm.
So and I'll just roll into my recommendation, unless you had a thing you wanted to
Go
say.
ahead.
So just rolling into my recommendation, I don't. I know Caroline came into this thinking I would probably recommend it to everybody, given my past history. This is niche in a very interestingly particular way that isn't for everybody. And you, even me as a fan of Kamen Rider, and not so much of the Showa era where this one predominantly focuses on, it was fun to learn some things about the Showa era, and it was fun to see people being passionate. But the show is fun at times. It's annoying a lot more of the time than it's not with some of the things that it does. It doesn't give the best impression of the tokusatsu genre. It does and it doesn't. Okay. There are definitely better shows that deal in tokusatsu that either satirize it in a better way, or comedic in funnier ways, or more dramatic in dramaticer ways. So overall, I don't. It's not bad. I just can't recommend it. It's one of those weird things. I don't think it's bad. I just don't think I can recommend it.
All right. Well, for me, I couldn't recommend it to those who have no interest in Kamen Rider already. I was just going in with the expectation that maybe somebody who enjoys Kamen Rider probably has a little bit more, are invested a little bit more into it. Maybe there's references that I just don't get that makes it far more interesting and fun. But just based on a person who has never seen any of this stuff, I couldn't recommend it. So I did think there were some good things about it. There were some fights that I liked, and some of the characters that were pretty enjoyable here and there. The music is easily the best part of the show, I think. A lot of good character tunes. I do think it's bogged down by a lot of cringy Chunibyo stuff. I mean, it full force hits you on the face and does not let up. I thought some of the plot organization was a bit awkward, and the pacing, it just felt like they did not really plan out where things were going to go, and it just felt really weird, especially when they go back and forth between our protagonist group and the villain groups and how that meshed together. It just seemed really weird. There were continuity errors, in which I will be pointing out, those that I've noticed, which I'm sure there's more of that I didn't. General silliness, and some of the worst female character designs I have seen in a while. You can count the number of women in this show that do not have breasts that are more comparable to bowling balls than parts of your body on one hand. And then even so, they might have their clothes taken off and their breasts magically grow 3 sizes. So you finally see a normal looking woman in this show, and then for reasons, her clothes come off. Boom! The bowling balls were hidden by this little shirt she has on the entire time. So I'm like, it's so distractingly crazy looking. On top of the fact that I just generally hate it when anime does this. Besides that, there are, I would say that one of the major themes of the show is fluids of all kinds. We got tears, snot, sweat, drool, and they are heavily featured in a significant number of episodes. And
I forgot blood.
And blood is blood. But it's the tears, snot, sweat, and drool that are just not necessary in the amounts and the way that they do it, especially because they are accompanied by sound effects, and it's just weird and gross. Despite that, I did enjoy Tackle. I love her. And also despite the bowling balls that are strapped to her chest. She was pretty awesome, and she is canonically the strongest fighter in the show, which I appreciate. I also got more interested in the villain types of the show. So you got, for a while he was a villain type, Nakao. Nakao. It's kind of weird how to pronounce it in English, I guess. But and then the Spider-Man I thought was kind of interesting. More interesting than I really felt with a lot of the protagonists, unfortunately. And again, the OST is pretty fun. But by the end of the day, it's tough for me to recommend. So probably just not at the end of it.
Fair enough. I think there's a few things we can talk about before we go into spoilers.
Sure.
I feel like so Caroline has alluded to a nitpick list. We're going to go into that in spoilers because that's going to be a little bit more specific. Okay. So I want you to save your nitpicks for that, wherever you
I'll do my
want. I
best.
think it could, but I think so. And it's not really a spoiler, but one of the things I feel like is that the beginning sets up, okay, I can't be the Kamen Rider I've always wanted to be, but maybe I can fight these gangs as a guy in a Kamen Rider mask, right? And I can get the spirit of Kamen Rider without doing Kamen Rider things. And then by the end of the third episode, I think, is when it's revealed that there's a like actual shocker.
I have the Wikipedia up right now. Yes, I believe it's episode 3.
Yeah, so like around episode 3, it's like, okay, there's real shocker, and I'm like, huh, okay, this seems like a little bit of an early reveal for something like this. Let's see what they do with it.
Especially when the description on Mal does not really say that Shocker actually exists, because they say fake Shocker gang, quote unquote. But
because that's what it was originally.
Well, yes,
right?
the Nakao and his friends, they are the fake Shocker gang, but it's definitely not a major plot point by the end of episode 3.
No. And so that's crazy. So and it's not really, it's a spoiler, but not really. I was hoping by the end of the show, we were going to understand what was going on with Shocker.
Yes,
right?
I thought so too.
Because, so like to compare Samurai Flamenco starts off as a guy who grew up watching like Super Sentai and superhero shows, goes and does vigilante justice, meets a cop who tells him, yo, chill the fuck out. Eventually, it turns out that, I haven't watched Samurai Flamenco in a while, but it turns out he's like a
It was long ago that I saw it, and I kind of forgot a lot of the important parts, but I do remember I enjoyed it.
Turns out he's sort of like his potential and his love for superhero stuff is like almost like Suzumiya Haruhi, like creating actual like super, like, so he fights actual monsters, and it just becomes like this more dimensional, like he becomes a multi-dimensional being essentially by the end, more or less, with his love for Tokusatsu. But that progresses, right? It starts off like he starts as a vigilante, and it grows to, crazy stuff. This one starts off with vigilantism, and then is like, it doesn't grow, it just sort of crazy stuff is happening. I'm like, okay, but are they also going to get powers? They never get powers.
I didn't mind that too much, because I thought it, like, even though, they make claims like, oh, how is a normal human able to defeat a monster? And they never quite describe that more than like, oh, there's a core in humans when they feel really passionate about something. And if they are passionate enough, then they are able to do whatever they are specializing in. And I'm like, okay, that doesn't make him whatever. But the fact that they don't, you go like, fire blast, blah. I like the more.
No, I wasn't expecting. No. When I say superpowers, like Kamen Rider abilities, like from the show era, where it's just like, were super enhanced, or they were enhanced by something.
Okay, yeah.
So it turns out this is just a world where Shocker exists, and somebody just decided to make a show called Kamen Rider that talks about an organization called Shocker. And maybe it's revealed in the manga later on, because obviously we end at there's more to come kind of point, but it's also an ending, because I don't think it's getting a second season, but so it's just that. It's just Shocker exists in this world. Also, somebody made a show about somebody fighting Shocker, and that's just what it is.
Yeah, so I also thought that was a little bit weird that, they exist, but why and how? When, like, how is it that Shocker exists, the same Shocker from this Kamen Rider show, and yet they have absolutely no clue who Kamen Rider is, or why these people are wearing masks? They have, every single time, they say Kamen Rider or Rider or Punch, they're like, what the heck is that? You would think that at the very least they would know their association with this show, and if they've been living in society long enough, they should have heard references to this very popular TV show. But I guess one theory could be that, somebody fought against them in the past, and they realized, like, wait a minute, I need a TV show to show them that this organization, the secret organization in this world, is evil. So I'm going to make a TV show with them as the villain. But even so, they should know about it.
Yeah, what it gives, like, I would have been okay with, like, they're aliens or something, right? That just showed up, and it just so happens that they are called Shocker. Like, that would have been it. But you know what? It's
But they
fine.
have
It
the
doesn't
same
really
costumes.
play. Yeah.
Mm.
It doesn't play much into the show anyway, in the sense of how do they come to exist. It's just one of those thoughts I had currently. But and I wrote this down as a pro and a con
Oh, should
on
we
my
get into
list.
spoiler territory, or are we still good?
No, this isn't a spoiler territory. This is a pro and a con on my list.
Okay.
Is the facial animations, because they punch people in the face so much.
Yeah.
So much. And it's not like they animate, like, they draw the fuck out of those faces getting punched.
They do. To the point where I'm like, surely these faces are demolished by now. But no, it's basically just a scratch after 5 seconds.
I mean, there are teeth get knocked out, and then those teeth are back in, like, the next scene.
Yeah. Your nose is definitely broken, but not anymore.
Yeah. And then I want to say I did write boobs as a pro.
Pretty.
Cause I'm a dude. I'm sorry, but they were it was just so much. It was just kind of funny to me. Like, it was absurd, honestly, the amount of boobs in this show. Absurd, like, unnecessarily large. Like, we're talking
Insane. Like, this is not even, ooh, looks so good. Like, they just look insane.
Yeah, and it's like, if it was like, I can forgive it for something like Keijo, because obviously
It's part of the story.
yeah, but this is just like, I get it, but it would. And what's crazy, and what's crazy to me is that none of the characters in the original show that they, like, none of the original Kamen Rider people, like even Tackle, their chests weren't that big. Like, if you look at the costume they're wearing, their chests weren't that big. Like, not the original Shocker female conventions. Their chests weren't that big. So it was kind of crazy. I thought it was absurd in, like, a funny way, like, similar to the facial animations when they were being punched.
I might have found some
yeah.
humor in it if it wasn't literally every single female in this show. Like, if it was just Tackle, maybe it wouldn't be so bad, because if they just, like, made jokes about the boobs, then I would probably feel a lot better about it. But the fact is that they don't recognize the fact that literally every person has insane body proportions.
Well, they do with the student in the first episode, right?
Oh God, I'm so glad that
didn't
become a recurring character, because God, that
is
so weird.
Well, yeah, he's a perv.
Yeah, so there's the boobs, and then there's also, like, you get a lot of Tackle, like, bulging vagina panty shots in the beginning, not so much towards the middle and the end, but a couple
not bulging, but there's
did.
a lot of panty shots. They even make reference to the fact that someone's like, I love how you can see your panties every time you fight, and she's like, I did it by design.
Oh, did she say that? I can't remember.
She says that, it's like, yes, because Tackle used to do that, I do that.
Did Tackle used to do that?
I haven't watched Stronger, so I couldn't tell you. Also, by the way, I didn't mention in the Tokusatsu, female writers or female combatants, like the good guys, there was essentially a female writer curse for the longest time in Kamen Rider.
What does that
where
mean?
Essentially, if you're a woman who gets to be a Kamen Rider of some kind, you're guaranteed to die. Like, Kamen Rider hates women as a hero. So yeah, so Tackle dies, and, like, a bunch of other ones essentially die. They broke that a little bit with, like, the more Heisei era stuff, because progress. But yeah, so that's, like, where that frustration comes from. Also, probably, is that female writers tend to be viewed as less than and tend to die. So I did like that they did a little bit of that. We can move into spoilers, because I feel like you're burning to get to your nitpick list.
No, it's not that. I just never know where the line is between non-spoiler and spoiler stuff. So.
Oh yeah, but with nitpicks, I'm pretty sure we're gonna get into it.
Oh yeah, we will.
Some of them aren't spoilers, but just to avoid anything, we're gonna go into spoilers now. If you've watched the show, you're gonna probably have some of the same nitpicks. If you haven't, you should you watch the show? Only if you really want to. But I think you'll probably enjoy this next bit, regardless of if you've seen the show or not.
Just go to YouTube and look up a tackle fight. And then you can hear the bop that goes, I am tackle. And then you can... Oh, that's good. The tackle fights are pretty good.
I did say that. Yeah.
Spoilers are coming. Oh my god.
All right, hit me with the nitpicks.
All right, where should we start? Let's start from the top.
Number 1.
Why is Nakao the only one that's never brainwashed in the first place? Like, he turns into a combatant. He keeps all of his mental facilities. Like, he's not urged to do anything that he wouldn't already do. So, and they never explain why he wasn't brainwashed.
That they don't explain it. I can give you some theories on why it doesn't happen. So Spider-Man is the one.
Yeah.
Kuma Otoko, Spider-Man.
Spider-Man.
Is the
yeah,
one
I thought that
not
the same
Japanese
time. Every
Spider-Man.
single time they say Spider-Man, I'm like, that's not Spider-Man.
So Kuma Otoko, or Spider-Man, is the one who transforms him, and one of his story arcs is that he's trying to understand humanity,
right?
Because he's kind of like, I guess, bored, but he's still like, I'm evil, but I'm trying to understand humans because humans are interesting to me. So he's going through that whole character arc, and this guy he just killed, he said, please let me be Shocker. And so he's like, okay, cool. And so the brainwashing, I think, is usually probably done when the transformation is made. But since Kuma Otoko doesn't really care about that, he just did it to grant him a wish kind of thing. I think he just let him do the thing. We also find out that love is like a vehicle for breaking the brainwashing.
But that
so
seems
in his
to be
way,
only when they feel like it. Like, when they track down the combatants to kill, like Raiko tracks them down to kill them. She's like, why did your brainwashing wear off? And this guy's like, well, I fell in love. I have a dog. And then this other guy has like, oh, I have a wife and kids. I fell in love. But it's like, these were already people. They already had connections to other people. This guy might have already had that family before he became a combatant. So when is that point that they fall in love? And
I don't think they did actually have those. So like, I don't think he had a dog before he found the dog, and the dog basically made him feel love. So it's in, like, there's a lot of inconsistencies in like power levels and stuff like this. So I don't disagree. And just to finish the Nakao point briefly, and you can continue, I think his love for Shocker prevented him from being brainwashed.
Then I would make the point, why is it that all the fans of that idol group, why were they brainwashed? Because they had so much love for the idol group that that should have been the same thing that could have broken that.
I think there might be.
That's what I was kind of expecting. Like, it's not going to work on them because they're already in love with these idol girls. But no, that didn't work. So you can make the case that like, oh, the guy found the dog and fell in love, and that's what happened. And then the other guy met his future wife, and that broke it. Whatever. But what about the people who've had prior relationships before being turned into combatants? Like, where does it start and where does it end? And how does it...
I think they have to be reintroduced to that person, right? So, like, maybe if they were in love beforehand, and I think they're going off the fact that idol fans aren't loved in general, maybe. But I think they might have to be reintroduced to them, right? So, like, remember the Nakao's goons, his, like, little brothers, his Kyodai, they were brainwashed, right? Yeah. And they fought him, and then he basically got through to them with his fists of love, essentially. And then it broke the brainwashing, right? So I think you're brainwashed until you reconnect with something. So like, if you had the dog before, you might have to meet the dog again. But if you're like, but also I think, remember, the monsters have to sort of also, I think, activate the brainwashing, right? So like, remember Yukarisu, when she was turned by by Batman, and she was said, oh, watch this guy because he knows monsters exist, and she fell in love with the guy, and that broke her brainwashing. And then the Spider-Man essentially tried to brainwash her again to control her, and his love got through to her, right? So inconsistent to a certain extent, but it is something that is like, there's a lot of inconsistencies in the show. But yeah, I think with him, it's just that he's just he's just so pure hearted for love, and his love of Shocker is so great that, and the Spider-Man did not want to, you know what, we'll call him Spider Guy and Bat Guy.
Yeah.
Spider Guy did not want to brainwash him. I don't think he tends to create combatants anyway, is the impression I got, and I don't think he brainwashes them. I think he just created this combatant because this guy seemed like he really wanted it. So yeah. Anyway,
it's just, at the end of the day, it's messy and not very clear how it works, and when are they going to utilize it, because, you know, you did say, like, oh, he tried to re-brainwash Yukarisu, and it did work until Mitsuba planted one on her. So why does he not try that more often with these other people that got unbrainwashed? Because it seems like it does work. It just, you know, in that case it didn't. But
quick answer to that question, actually, that makes a lot of sense. Man-Bat is a perv who only seems to want to transform women, so he doesn't care about, a lot of the combatants that are killed are male combatants, remember, right? He doesn't care about male combatants, it seems. He mostly cares about getting women ones because he's a perv. And the Spider Guy doesn't actually care that much about Shocker's domination. He cares about learning about humanity.
Yeah.
That's why.
All right.
For those guys. But anyway, next one.
All right, moving on. The Bat Guy comes into the idol changing room, and this is right when he's going to change a bunch of these idols. And they say, hey, we're changing. But all 100 of these idols with the bowling ball boobs are conveniently in their underwear with no articles of clothing in sight. So they are not changing. They are hanging out in their underwear. So what are they doing? Why are they all in their underwear?
This is actually a nitpick. Funny enough, I don't have any issue with it. I just like, okay, that's the first one, legitimate question. Second one, actual nitpick.
These are my nitpicks, okay?
No, I know. It's just, I thought it was really funny. I'm like, oh, you know, we started off strong, and like, no, that's a nitpick. No, yeah, honestly,
if they were in various forms of undress, okay. If one of them's wearing a skirt and one of them with her top off, and vice versa. Okay, you are changing. This is a changing room, but either be in clothes or be in the process of changing. Why are you guys all in your underwear?
Caroline, I got nothing for you. The guy's the mangaka's clearly a perv.
I agree.
All right, next one.
So Nakao and Tojima, Nakao ran away when the combatants got to them at Tojima's place, and they caught his Kyodai, his brothers.
Yeah.
And then he runs away. Okay. He finds Tojima. They are literally right outside of his apartment, and they abandoned them. They like left them for dead. They don't even go back to the apartment.
Yep.
And
they're not logical people.
That's so, like, that's crazy that the guy who emulates Kamen Rider wouldn't go to see if he could help these guys that could still be alive. And at the very least, is probably still at the apartment. And even if they weren't at the apartment, like, they should really go and check, right? Before they leave to the boonies for no reason other than to train.
He thought they were dead, so they just left.
That's so crazy that he would be that upset and not even check to see if they're okay. Because now he could defeat them. Like, Tojima could defeat them pretty easily. So, whatever. Okay. Moving on to the gamer event. So they attack all the attendees and turn them into combatants. And then Mitsuba launches a smoke bomb. The arena, at that time, when he launches the smoke bomb, is completely empty. But in the next frame, there are suddenly a bunch of combatants there because they were all changed. And so they were there before. Smoke bomb is released and nobody's in the arena, and then they magically reappear.
They were on the ground.
No, because show the ground. There's nobody there.
Animation quality. They just didn't have the budget. They didn't have the budget.
For little blobs of people?
Yep, they didn't have the budget.
They have the budget for chairs?
They had to save it for all the tears. They had to save it for all the tears and snot.
That's true. And so Mitsuba and Yukarisu, they take a 3-hour train to get to the boonies to tell Tojima, Nakao, and the brother to tell them that Shocker is making moves. Instead of calling them, a 3-hour train to get to the brother's house. Just to tell them that Shocker has plans and we need to go right now. So they get on a 3-hour train to get there and then a 3-hour train back instead of calling them.
Then the phone, no reception, and Nakao doesn't have what's his name? His brother doesn't have a phone.
I feel like they should call like the nearest town. And like there's okay, maybe that's silly.
He's a recluse that nobody probably wants to talk to. You've seen how crazy he is.
It's just that just seemed like it's the distance of this house that is just insane to me because they say like a 3-hour train, but they say that he bikes to town or to Tokyo and back. Like he never takes the train. So are you taking our bike? And that's probably a whole day's of biking trying to get to Tokyo and back.
He's got crazy stamina.
That's so stupid. And so finally they're on So finally they get together and they're going back to Tokyo, but they wait until they are in the bar in Tokyo to tell them literally anything that has happened. They had a freaking 3-hour train ride and they didn't tell them anything?
Well, to be fair, the brother was probably cycling the way back.
They could at least tell the other two. Anyway.
Why say it multiple times?
Because I mean, it's important. Like what's going on? It's like big things are happening. You should probably get to business as soon as possible. But that's just me. Moving on.
These were a weird time.
At the arena, they use the same still of these 3 guys at the Idol concert like 3 times. It's the same still. They show it over and over again. And like I know a lot of anime does that, but if you're going to be at an Idol concert and you're going to commit to this idea, put a different still in there.
Caroline, I told you already. They needed the budget to animate all the fluids.
And the boob physics.
Yeah. Remember when she's doing her ultimate Denpa tackle throw, her boobs need to bounce up and down as you see her face, so you get the gravity of the situation.
And speaking of tackle, so this one is so frustrating to me. Yuriko, so tackle, she goes to fight Raiko. Like this is leading up to the big arena plan. And Yuriko manages to beat Raiko and also make it on time to take position for the plan. Okay. But literally everybody else is like, I'm in position. And then Tackle goes, like, I'm in position too. And they're like, oh, wow, you beat her? Fantastic. I can't believe it. Wow. But the thing is that they had no idea that she would be successful in this fight and make it on time. And they're confirming their positions. The thing is that her position is so crucial to the plan. She's the one making the announcement and turning out the lights to get everybody to evacuate. Everybody else is just in the middle of the crowd doing nothing. So why is it that when they are about to execute a plan that they don't know that she is there for, nobody goes to substitute her position? When she's the crux of the whole plan happening?
You've seen, these people are idiots. You know this.
It just makes the logic. It's so bad. It's so
these people are idiots.
Man, that really got to me. Because it would have been so simple. Like, just don't have her be in the plan, part of your plan. Put somebody else there. Okay. Also, this is not really a nitpick, just an observation. That was the fastest and most organized evacuation of 50,000 people I have ever seen.
Japan. It is Japan.
Like, they even show them running out, but I'm like, you guys evacuated 50,000 people evacuated in less than a minute. That is impressive.
It's Japan. They are organized. When they get it. They got it. Mm-hmm. So fast. It's Japan. Why are you surprised?
And lastly, this one's not even that interesting. Just another observation that Yukariso is just so useless. She is just constantly in a battle pose and she does absolutely nothing. I think she even like screams at one point. I'm like, what are you screaming at, girl? You've done nothing.
Yeah, that's a character I don't even think that's a nitpick. I think that's just like a valid criticism, is that her character is effectively useless.
Yeah, like Nakao is more useful to them unconscious than she is conscious. That is how bad it is.
Yeah.
Also, Nikao, it's like it's that thing where somebody seems to be pretty strong until they're in the protag gang, and then they become absolutely weak because he did nothing in that last fight, and that's kind of a bummer.
Sorry, repeat that?
Nikao, like he was unconscious pretty much the whole time.
But yeah, I mean, he's essentially a joke character, effectively.
Yeah.
He basically tells people that he loves them he's just so full of love. That's why he can be brainwashed, and he keeps breaking people's brainwashings.
He doesn't give that
by filling with love.
That character doesn't really give that impression in the first half, I don't think. Like, at first I thought he was kind of cool, but then he just became lame in the second half, which is a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think I don't know, maybe as it goes on they do more with this character. I think he's supposed to just be I think he's always what we would call, I guess, a paper tiger kind of thing, you know? Even from the get-go, he always appears to be strong, but in the face of all of these other characters, he is, I was going to say the weakest, but Yukarisu exists. But he's essentially like the weakest of all of them, except for Yukarisu. And
but
so
he did catch the chicken.
Yes.
That the previously never caught chicken, which I love the chicken. I thought like the random overlays of the chicken across the moon going caw, and I'm like, oh my god, that's pretty funny.
He didn't catch him technically. He did punch him. The cat took him away.
That was probably the funniest part of the show was that.
Yeah. That was crazy.
Oh, but
Cat was just waiting, biding his time.
You said paper tiger, which also reminds me of that random tiger master character, the fighting master of Futaba. And it was kind of strange that they kind of hid her in, like, they don't show her like in the present day, like she was kind of hidden. So I was under the impression that maybe she was a member of Shocker and that she's a tiger monster. But no, I don't think, because they don't bring her up again, which I thought was really strange.
No, they show her face in one of the eye catches.
Yeah, like a flashback. She has a flashback moment, but they don't show her in present day, which I thought was a little weird. Like they show her silhouette, but I thought there must be some sort of big reveal, like maybe she's actually.
I feel like that might be a future thing with her, because like Futaba doesn't join them in the final fight,
and I also thought that was weird. Because they also made references to, like, the 7 riders defeating this monster in the original show. So I'm like, wait a minute, there's 6 of them. They need a 7. Futaba, she's going to join the group. Why doesn't she join the group? She's a very strong fighter. So...
Yeah, but to be fair, she only really wants to kill her brother.
I thought she would have some sort of need for vengeance as them. Because, I mean, it was her family that got killed, too.
She wasn't there. I feel like she was young and wasn't as close to her grandparents, so she didn't see them die. She just assumed that they were killed by random robbers. So there's a lot of unpack there.
Yeah.
I feel like her character is probably something they're gonna do more with in like future material, but for where they were at, they were just like, nah. Which is okay, I guess. But it, like, the show is like, I mean, the show introduces like a bunch of characters that have very little relevance to the end of season 1, like the idol girl, the fat idol girl,
and she just weirdly disappeared. Like nothing really came of her. Like her idol group became combatants, and she's still like, I don't know, like what's her purpose in life now? She has no idol group.
To introduce that other guy, Achio Hajiro or whatever.
Yeah, he was randomly thrown in there.
Yeah.
Just strange.
Yeah, it's just one of those things where she was thrown in there to be the human face for Spider Guy to understand humanity a little bit better through. So I feel like that's just future material that they put in there, but it felt perfunctory to the whole to the whole the whole show that we got so far.
Yeah. So
Effectively.
and they kind of like, and to add to the weirdness of that whole part with the spider guy and that what's his name, the Hachiro or whatever.
Yeah.
Like they kind of just randomly inserted themselves into an episode here or there towards the end, and I'm like, I feel like this is just so, again, random. I didn't really know when they were going to come back, if they were going to come back, for how long they were going to come back for. So, yeah. Weird. Anyway, I think I'm ready to score if you are.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, so
Final
with
thoughts
this
and
show,
score it.
there were some moments of, things that I liked. Like, I thought Tackle's fights were really fun. And the fact that she actually is a pretty strong fighter is, like, I appreciate, even despite her boobs. And, some humor was good. Some of the, I liked the spider guy's, quest for understanding humanity and all that, despite how random it was in the story. And the music was good. I mean, I think I am Tackle will earn a full point for this show. But at the end of the day, it's so illogical, and I know I should not be applying logic to a show like this, but to the point where I'm like kind of getting distracted by the inconsistencies and the continuity errors and all that stuff. So at the end of the day, I'm going to have to give this show 2 sweat, tears, drool, and snot out of 5.
Fair enough. I think the show does a lot of good. I think it does a lot of not good. I think the pacing is inconsistent. The power levels of the characters are just wildly inconsistent. I love the passion. It's always good to see passion on screen depicted in various ways. I liked a lot of the show at points, and I felt like not bored, but like frustrated with the pacing of the show at other points. I think ultimately it does look good when it wants to. And when it looks bad, it's not even that bad. Like, even like when it uses still images, they're still pretty well drawn for the most part. You're not seeing any like weird faces or like, anything in the background from at least what I remember. Like Caroline has alluded to, the soundtrack is pretty fun and engaging. The intro is fun. I didn't listen to it too many times, but I did enjoy it. I didn't think it was that bad. And I think it definitely chooses to exist in a point of time that is fairly niche from a Western audience's perspective. But I think for Japan is not as niche as you would think. I like that it involved adults as characters, which we don't get that much of in anime sometimes, even if they were doing some pretty cringy middle schoolers type shit. But I did like the fact that we got adults, and it does. And I think some of that is where I kind of like, maybe it adjusts my score a little bit. I will ultimately give it 3 rider punches out of 5, which will bring our average to about 2.5.
Oh, right.
Which I think
that reminds me. Another thing that I really disliked was like when he does the rider punch, it's like a growl that he does, like, it's just, I could just say rider. Just say rider.
No, that's
punch.
that's
like
what the
Falcon
show
Punch.
was like. That's what the show was like,
Really?
right? It's rider. Like he's basically going at the pace that the show they would do it in the show.
It's
and
the
they do
growling
lampshade it,
for
right?
me, though. It's just the
You'll see when we watch some of the henshin videos, how actually pretty spot on some of these henshins were for some of these characters.
All right.
So, well, at least for the Kamen Rider and whatnot. So, yeah. But ultimately, it was like, I think 2.5 seems like a fair score for the show like this, for the podcast.
Yeah, I think it's
as
fair.
an overall. And you know what? It's not the worst watch you could do.
It's just the fact that if it was just one core, it might have actually even gotten a higher score from me. But because it was so much of it in 2 cores, it doesn't really help. So that's unfortunate. And with that, I think we are about to close out the show here. What do we have coming up next week, Friggy?
Yes, next week, you and Otaku are going to be talking about the anime. You and I are polar opposites.
I'm so
That should be
excited. Remember, you can always come find us on Twitter, Facebook, TikTok, and our lovely Discord. Please join us. We're free. We have a lot of stuff going on there, so come and make some new friends. And with that, we will see you again next week and possibly at the after party coming up. See you later.
Bye.